Hi there. Welcome to part 3 of our look at study management in Freezerworks Pinnacle. So, last time we started creating a study with multiple arms. We assigned it contacts and sites, and set up a few minor security settings. Now, we must model the visits for each arm in the study. A reminder that duplicating an arm with a visits model will duplicate the visits model too, and speed up your work. I'll show you this trick at the end of the video. Anywho, let's get started. Once you have your study open, you'll want to go to the visits page. Next, you'll use this drop-down in the top right to select the arm that you want to model visits for. I'll just select my active group 1. If I had already modeled visits for the arm, they would appear here in the list box. But since we haven't, we'll have to click Model Visits to start modeling. The Visits overlay will appear with an entry box to create the first visit above it. Enter a name for the visit in the Visit ID field. Think of it like the study name and arm name fields. But this is only unique within the arm's visits model. I'll just go with baseline. You'll then select the interval for the visit. This will default to your selection when configuring the study itself. We selected week for our default, so it's automatically set to week here. The interval will determine what the next field is. Since I selected week for my interval, the next field is week number. Since this is a baseline visit, I'm going to change my interval to day and enter 0 for the number. You are then allowed to enter a description for the visit. This will only appear when modeling your visits, so use it for any important referential information. When you're done, click Save. Now we've come to the actual model visits form. On the left here will be all the visits you end up adding, with the visit ID and the interval number. And the samples, aliquots, and tests that you add to them will be displayed in a hierarchical format. Samples will be under visits, aliquots under samples, and tests under either samples or aliquots, depending on how you order tests. In order to add anything to the visits model, you'll click the Add button here to open up this contextual menu. Since we do not have a sample highlighted in the visits model, we are only allowed to add another visit or a sample to the currently highlighted visit. I'm going to create 2 more visits so we've got some to work with. Since my third visit is very similar to my second visit, I'll just highlight Visit 2 and click Copy. I'll rename it and change it to be Visit 3 and Week 3. And voila, 3 visits. Now let's determine what needs to be collected and ordered at each visit, and what sample and aliquot field data we want automatically entered for the received samples. To begin, highlight the visit you want to add a sample to, and click Add, then Sample. A field selection form will appear. This works a lot like adding fields to a workflow template. Double-click the field you want updated when the sample is received. I want to easily identify what the sample is, so I'll double-click Sample Type, set it to Whole Blood, and click Accept. The field is moved to the right list box with the value I entered for it, to indicate that this will be entered for the sample we are receiving for this visit. I'll select one more field, biopsy date, and add it to my whole blood sample. When you're done adding fields, click Accept. Now I have one sample with the fields I selected expected for the baseline visit. I'll then make sure the sample is highlighted, click Add, and then aliquot this time. This form works exactly like adding a sample, only you can set the number of aliquots you want created. Let's say I want 5 aliquots from this blood sample. And for a field, I'll select freezer position. This field is a little different, as it is the only field that you can edit when receiving. All other fields are locked at the receiving step. We'll see this in action in a later video, but for now I'll select the freezer I expect these aliquots to be stored in. The program will find the first available and adjacent positions in the selected freezer. Click Accept, and my aliquots are added under the previously highlighted sample. Tests are fairly simple to add to a sample or an aliquot. Highlight the sample or aliquot you want to test, click Add, and then either Sample Test or Aliquot Test. This will open a list of tests in your database. Check on the ones you want to order and click Save. And there are the 3 tests I checked on for the sample. Highlighting them will display their parameters on the right. In fact, a quick note that highlighting an object in the hierarchical list will display its information and modify options on the right side of the screen. Now let's say I want this sample, its aliquots, and its tests collected, created, and ordered at each of my 3 visits. Well, I'll highlight the sample, click Copy, and then Copy to Other Visit. This opens a list of your defined visits. Check on the visits you want to copy the sample to, then click Accept. As you can see, the sample, its 5 aliquots, and its 3 tests are added to my other 2 visits with the exact same field data. If I wanted to tweak any fields just a bit, I'd highlight the desired sample or aliquot and click the Modify Sample or Modify Aliquots button. And now my aliquots from visit 2 will be stored in Freezer Green. Well, I'm done with this visits model, so I'll click Save and Close to return to the study configuration form. And look, all the visits I just modeled are now listed. Before I end this video, say my other arm's visits are nearly identical to this one. Instead of selecting the other arm and modeling from scratch, I'll go to the study page, delete my second arm, then duplicate the arm I just modeled visits for, I can always edit the title later. Save it, return to the visits page, and select the second arm now. All the visits I just modeled are listed for the second arm as well. Any minor tweaks I need to make, I can by clicking the Model Visits button. Alright. Today's video is a bit longer, but I hope you understand how much control over your study you have with the Model Visits tool. Next time, we'll activate our study and begin enrolling patients. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.